In the last segment we're going to be talking about today on the Transformers Slag podcast in relation to the Hasbro Pulse June 2025 Fanstream. Let's talk about the bulk of the Transformers Studio Series items that they showed us today and all the in-betweens, the design notes, all the cool stuff that both Nate and Evan talked about. And let's just go through it, shall we, and go in between the lines of what's going on. So first of all, let's start with the first guy. They did it kind of backwards. They started with the biggest to the smallest. So they started, of course, with Leader Class, and they started with Leader Class Studio Series 86 Megatron. And I feel like the shirts that both Evan and Nate are wearing are almost, purposeful in what they're going to be talking about with Studio Series 86 Megatron. You're probably going, what does that have to do with the blaster shirt that Nate is wearing? Well, we'll mention that in a moment. So Studio Series 86 Megatron, designed by both Evan and Yuya-san. This was something that they've wanted to just knock it out of the park as best they could and not have a whole bunch of kibble on the back of the robot mode. So they wanted to really put all of that tank stuff into the legs if possible, and they did a pretty good job of doing that. And it's just something where, they said that the tank design was taken from an old prototype from Takara back in the day during the 80s from something called the Armor Blaster series. So that's interesting. That's not the first I've heard of that. And, when they were referring to Megatron and his gun mode and the gun mode and everything like that, they always used the lingo of blaster, turning into his blaster. Here's his blaster that he has as an accessory. And that's where it's like, oh, Evan has the Goodbye Megatron shirt and Nate has the Blaster shirt, indirectly to Ghetto Blaster from Blaster. So, yeah, it is funny how that all works. But that box, man, let me tell you, that Leader Class box has a lot of empty space in it. That's kind of a shame how that kind of falls out, but it is what it is. On the back of the box, though, there is something intriguing. There is a blue-armed Megatron holding his blaster, holding his gun mode there. And I don't know if that's a future repaint that they're just teasing on the back of the box. Is that going to be some kind of tank mode, Robot Masters, Reverse Convoy, Revenge Megatron kind of repaint? I could see that. That'd be really cool, I'll be honest with you. I love Reverse Convoy, Revenge Megatron. That is a super obscure Megatron in Transformers lore, and I love that version. So that'd be cool if we get a blue repaint with a new head sculpt and everything, and that would kind of almost like be very cool to see how they retool it and everything. So it is what it is. That's what's popping with the Studio Series 86 Megatron. Not much else that could be said. Then we get into his wave mate that's going to be included. They just wanted to just cover it quickly. Studio Series 86 Grimlock, again, it's a 100% reissue, no changes at all, just in a brand new box. Hasui-san design. They recognized that this figure sold out very quickly. Secondary market was reaching as high as $400 at one point. And so they figured, hey, let's put it out there, give fans a chance to get Grimlock again. So it's out there. Pre-orders are up. No changes at all. Straight up 100% reissue. Then we get into the Voyager class. We have the War for Cybertron Thundercracker, a Tomo-san design. Interesting fact, they said that they did a whole bunch of testing with kids, and they found that when they put the Seekers in all their different colors in front of the kids, for some reason, kids would always reach for the blue jet. And it seems that blue jets are more popular than red jets or purple and black jets. So that's an interesting piece of information there. So Thundercracker, he's going to be coming out. The only major thing they wanted to point out here that we didn't already cover is he's going to have yellow eyes due to how his CG model was in the video game, as opposed to red eyes that are mostly associated with Decepticons. When we get into the Voyager class Constructicon Mixmaster, another Yuya-san design, the only thing they wanted to really say here is the reason why we made him the feet, specifically the Voyagers for the feet of Devastator, is and why they made them Voyagers is because they need to have the extra parts and the strong ratchets because they have to support all the heavy material of the Constructicon, specifically Devastator, and so that's why they made the feet Voyagers and the arms and the centerpieces all deluxes, because they don't have to carry the same load that the bottom does. Not to mention for posing and accuracy and all that extra pieces and parts internally that have to exist. A Voyager price point affords that where a deluxe would have not been able to. And speaking of deluxes, we also have the deluxe Scavenger, which they called Scrapper here because they mixed everything up, but I don't blame them. It's under the hot lights of having to talk about all these toys. It happens sometimes. And again, they address the whole, price point kind of thing and how just, they decided on that and how they were going to go about it. And just that was that, more or less. They did say here, and this is a thing, get these guys while you can, because they transparently admitted over the next 2 years, 2026 and 2027, there is no plans for any kind of gift set. There is no plans for any kind of repaints, G2 colors, toy accurate colors, some kind of exclusive. There's no plans for that over the next 2 years. So if you want your Devastator, get him now, because you will not be able to get him at least in the next 2 years later on in any shape or form, including reissues or anything like that. So get him while you can. And I'm worried that will make now the scalpers come out of nowhere and go, all right, let's do this. Then we got Deluxe Class Alita 1. This is something we already saw 6 months ago. They just kind of wanted to do more designer notes by talking about her because she is part of the Wave assortment. This is an Ajima-san design along with Evan. Her blaster is, of course, the blaster that came from the trackers from Sentinel's crew and stuff. And she also comes with the mining jetpacks, which are compatible with all the other deluxes from Studio Series Transformers 1, so Optimus, Megatron, and Bumblebee. Her wheels, this is an interesting little note from Ajima-san. Her wheels transform into her breasts under her armor. Nice touch, Ajima-san. Nice touch. So very interesting there. So just a little note of that one. And that's it more or less for Alita 1 from Transformers 1. We also have Transformers 1 Deluxe Class Starscream. It's a Kuniharu design. He mentioned how each of the Seekers in Transformers 1 have some kind of unique tooling or engineering, be it the heads or the wings and stuff. And so when they were designing Starscream, Kuniharu went out of his way to make sure there was space on the molds for future partials, for repaints and retools, because unlike past Seekers that are a lot easier to do and are straight up repaints with a mild change of maybe a face, this is going to be a longer, different kind of project with the Transformer 1 Seekers, because they all have unique head sculpts. A lot of them have unique wings or unique weapons. So Kuniharu planned on the molds for future partials. So stay tuned for that. And he knows that the fans will love it. And the last one we're going to be covering here is the Concept Art Series Deluxe Class KSI Widow, aka Widowmaker. This was a Kuniharu-san design. Again, check out my segment that I talked about her, where I go through the whole history and why they went with this orange design and everything like that, and where does that all come from. Not much really else I could say aside from that. They just said that they love the Concept Art Series and they want to do way more of these in the future because there's a lot more cool stuff they have planned. So all of these that we mentioned are going up for pre-order today on the Hasbro Pulse website at 1 p.m. And go check it out. A lot of really great stuff there. Some price points have shifted, like the Leader Class and stuff like that. So just keep that in mind too. But we will see what happens in the near future. Thanks again for listening to the Transformer Slag podcast on this Transformer Tuesday and keeping you educated, entertained, and informed on our glorious robot hobby. And I'll talk to you in the near future.